Yeah. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The first time I heard someone say that was at Disney World. Yes, Disney World. I was a kid. I was young. I was in 7th grade, perhaps 6th. That's a mistake I made. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a recording of a little something we like to call the Bob Doyle Show podcast. Wow, that's loud. You know, thank you. For crying out loud. You know, it's so loud in my ear when it happens. But then when I listen to the show, it's really not that bad. So, what are you going to do? Okay. Well, my friends, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to your neighbor. Happy New Year to my neighbor. Just Happy New Year. I think that covers it. We don't need to go through the entire population of the United States of America, starting with my neighbor and your neighbor. Because first of all, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're a jerk. I should know that about my neighbors, but I don't. We have suspicions, of course, but, you know, there's nothing I can confirm. So you're listening to the Bob Doyle Show podcast, which is a thing, despite the fact that there is no regular schedule or even a reasonable facsimile thereof. But it is a thing, and we do it from time to time, and I'm doing it now. Why? Why today, Bob? Man, I don't know. You know what? Because I feel like there's just stuff going on. And I feel like when there's stuff going on, I should talk about it. Now that I could be way off on that. That could be something that is just not true. Just because something is quote unquote going on in my mind does not mean that I need to be talking about it to you. But here I am, nonetheless, as I will always be. I want to tell you a little bit about my day today. And if I get sidetracked, you'll know you're listening to the Bob Doyle Show. I guess the first thing I want to tell you is this. Oh, I guess I should address the show title. What's up with jury duty? So I did have jury duty-ish. Sorry, I'm going to reposition and make a little noise here. I'm going to actually reposition more. Make a little more noise. And then I'm going to be quiet. When I do the Bob Doyle Show video version, I'm in a studio, and I behave as such-ish. But, the Bob Doyle Show podcast, you never know where it's going to be done. I try to use a nice microphone, and I think I did this time when I do it. But you never know. I could be broadcasting from my phone out and about. In this case, where am I? Anyone care to take a guess? You? No. That's right. I'm in the bedroom, actually. The microphone, basically your head, is sitting where my pillow should be. And one of the movements I was making was moving my pillow. Did that paint a good enough picture? What color do you think the pillowcases are? What would you guess? You're right, blue. Of course they'd be blue. What would you expect? Pink? Peach? Peach I could do. Yeah, I could. There's always been something about peach. It's not like a masculine color. But, I had some peach shirts in my day. Probably the 90s. And, I thought, okay, will these work? I also have good, peach, you know what? If it's peach, it's just friendly in my sight, except for one exception. But who doesn't love a peach? I mean, come on. Things are called peachy for a reason, because they're just spectacular. A good peach. Now, I'm not talking about, a green peach or a peach that is got, gunk on it. I'm talking about a good peach. A good peach is hard to beat. You get a peach pie, a peach. Look, do I have to tell you about peaches? Have you never had one? All right. And are they peaches on cereal? Let me tell you something. Get a bowl of Wheaties. I know, just bear with me. You just bear with me. Get a bowl of Wheaties. Really, Bob? The Caitlyn Jenner cereal? Yes. Get Spanish peanuts, salted. Spanish peanuts? Yes, Spanish peanuts. What, am I speaking a different language here tonight? Spanish peanuts, and then peaches. Slice fresh peaches, fresh. Pour some milk over that and eat that, and you will come back to me and say, Bob, where do I write the check? How do I mail you this unlimited sum? I'm going to write you a blank check. I'm going to send you a blank check, Bob. You put in the amount, but nothing less than 5 zeros. 5, 5 on the left side. They'll communicate it better, or you will, when you try that. So, I was called to jury duty. I served jury duty 26 years ago. 26 years. That is half my lifetime ago. It doesn't seem like that long. It doesn't seem like half a lifetime. Half a lifetime. Remember when you were like 12 and 13 and you're going, boy, this is going kind of slow. And now I'm 51. 26 years ago, I served on jury duty. Half my lifetime ago. Anyway, it was a boring civil case, which I will recreate for you in song right now. All right. This is one of those rare, this is like the Easter egg. This is an Easter egg. Sometimes in the Bob Doyle Show, I make myself laugh, and you just found one. So congratulations. And so I got called again. And it's never a great time for jury duty, but honestly, if things were a little bit different, if I wasn't in the middle of a product launch, for example, I wouldn't mind taking a week off and sitting in a jury box and listening to some argument between some people. Seriously, it wouldn't bother me. I'd be fine with it. But the timing now is terrible, and I was, and quite honestly, I've got some bad history. Like that civil case I did, or that I was a juror for years ago, I didn't like how I had, what we were asked to determine. It was a situation where the plaintiff should have gotten money. It's clear. But because the point of law we were supposed to argue the way that they phrased it, we couldn't reward it. And that stuck with me for 26 years, half my lifetime. And I had to sit in that jury box and argue that, which I hated, because I'm like, boy, this is so not justice. So that bothered me. And the whole, just how attorneys are, how they occur to me. And of course, having a not wonderful at all divorce experience, the legal system in general is leaving me a little I think that's the word I'm looking for. And quite honestly, I said that in the jury box when it was my turn to be interviewed, and I thought, good, I'm out of here. Nope. No. I basically said, I don't believe in this system, and I had really bad experience, and they kept me. And I was like, what? All right, so then this morning I was going to go in there and try one last, because the jury fully hadn't been picked yet. And I was going to go in and really just plead my, look, this is my livelihood here, and this is a huge time in my business, and I just need to be present, I was going to do that, and then an hour, not even an hour before I was going to have the opportunity to do that, my grandmother died. And I got that text, and I was excused. So, before we get too, bent out of shape about the grandmother dying bomb that I just dropped, this is, she was 96 years old, lived a long life, lived an awesome life, but the last few years, not so fun for her. And it was just time, and all involved understand the blessing that it is that she is now no longer suffering. So, but then again, I was excused from jury duty, and so that was an interesting thing. But before that, this morning, so I've been talking about this launch. Okay, so what that means is I also, for those of you who don't know, I am also in the personal development space, and for years I've sold products that are law of attraction related to the law of attraction. I was in a film called The Secret. Is anyone do I need to send handouts home with all of you? Okay, that was the first derailment of the day. Now, that was the first time I actually sidetracked myself, and I can't remember where I was going. Oh, yes, of course, the launch. And so I've been selling programs and things of various types for 12 years. And, as I've said many times on my regular show, the not podcast video thing, which is the Bob Doyle Show, of which this is a spinoff or co-show, companion piece, which you can get all of them all together in one spot if you download the Bob Doyle Show app for free. Go to bobdoyleshow.com. You'll find the links along the top. And then you can download the Bob Doyle Show app, which will have, of course, all these podcasts in stereo and living color-ish. And all the Bob Doyle Show shows. And more, much, much more. And, as I said, free of charge. Anyway, as I am shifting my professional attention to the Bob Doyle Show more than selling programs on the internet, another company has taken over the marketing of said products. And in the internet world, it's very common to hear about things called launches, which means you're going to take a product, a program, something you've created, and you're going to launch it into the marketplace. And an internet launch generally involves a lot of people mailing or promoting your thing. So what they're doing is relaunching my Wealth Beyond Reason program, which was the program that I started in this industry creating. It's what got me into The Secret in the first place. So it's my flagship product, and we've done a whole revamp or whatever, and now they're going to relaunch it. And a launch these days is this really huge machine that's very complicated of a lot of people agreeing to send email on the same day and promoting and all of this stuff, to do a big push into the marketplace. And I have never in my whole career done something of this magnitude. When I wrote my book 6 years ago, I did a book launch, but it still wasn't anything like what's happening now. What's happening now is way, way bigger. It's definitely going to be the most exposure that I've had since The Secret. And so it's exciting. And a whole new potential group of people to bring into the sphere and into the Bob Doyle Show. So this morning, so a lot of these folks, the people that are running this launch also run the Law of Attraction page on Facebook. If you just do a search on the Law of Attraction, these guys got it. And they have 4.2 million people who like that page. So, if you watch the Bob Doyle Show or listen to it, you always know that I'm always talking about, I'm calling attention to the number of viewers and how I'd really like to have more and all of this. Well, this morning, as part of this launch, I'm making myself available to the people in that group to do my live Q&A type of broadcast, just like I do for my Law of Attraction group and my timeline, the people on my Facebook sphere. So I jumped in there and did 30 minutes this morning at 5:30 in the morning, because this was before I was dismissed from jury duty. So I had to do this early in the morning so I could still get to jury duty. And most of their audience, or a great many of them, are in the UK, as they are. So they were moderating this thing, and they were telling me, they were saying something about, do you want us in there to moderate, and take comments? And I'm like, I do that myself, and they're saying, well, we could have, hundreds of people in there. And I'm like, okay, well, that would be different. I said, all right, well, we'll just see what happens. So 5:30, boom, I go live. Immediately, 101 people are viewing. At its peak, there were 794 live viewers at the same time. 600 and, last time I checked, 680 something comments, 31,000 views. Blowing my mind. But actually, it was as I was looking at it when it started, and I saw 101 people right away. I thought, okay. But other than that, it was the same old Bob Doyle shtick you'll get anytime you watch me. So, ladies and gentlemen, fame did not change me. But that was quite amazing to know that I was reaching that many people. I mean, look, if you think about it, you're a presenter. These days in our industry, to try to get 700 people to show up anywhere takes so much time and marketing and effort and just expense. It's just crazy to get people to go to an event anymore with the travel. Now I click go and I've got 700 people. I got 700 people's attention for 30 minutes or however long I want to go or however long I keep them interested. That's the power of live streaming in general, but that's the first time I've experienced it to that level. I've seen it happen for like celebrities and all of this other stuff, and I've seen, wow, these people, 300, 400 live viewers, and then I had 790 something for. Crazy. Many lessons to learn there, boys and girls. I always had this assumption, and this of course, time will tell how this sticks and how this plays out and how many of those people will eventually transition into discovering our little program called The Bob Doyle Show, which we all know and love. I think all of us do. Everybody here in this room most definitely does. And everyone who's listening live. Because that group, that those two groups are constituted of one person, me. So if that didn't make any sense, you're going to have to go back and listen because I promise it did. I just, that's your built-in quiz, puzzle, is trying to figure out what the heck I just said. But anyway, so yeah, that was interesting. So we're going to be doing more of those, obviously. And, the goal there is to let these people know that I'm available and that I have ongoing law of attraction information that I dispense each and every week. And they can listen to it on Wednesdays or whenever I finally settle in on doing it. It's Wednesdays for now. It has been for a while. But they're also invited to check out the rest of the Bob Doyle Show and see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. Can we switch into business point of view here? I mean, look, we all know I want to do the Bob Doyle Show, but the Bob Doyle Show is not a revenue generator. So how do we make the Bob Doyle Show a revenue generator so it makes sense for Bob Doyle to do the Bob Doyle Show? Well, first thing that pops into my mind is sponsorships of some kind, right? But you can't go to a sponsor and say, hey, I got these 13 solid fans show up every week, right? But I think I could go in and say, I got 700 people watching live, a reach of over 200,000, this many comments, this much engagement, this many shares. Then I can show them the demographics, which was very, very interesting for me to see who's listening, because, then you know who you're talking to. And it's a very definite audience. My demographic is extremely clear. Ha ha. Now you're listening going, am I that demographic? I'll give you a hint. If you're a man, you're not. However, I still want men to listen. This is not supposed to be a ladies-only show. But what can I tell you? I love the guys who listen to the Bob Doyle Show. Tommy and Steve and who else? And Johan and I mean, bring the guys into the show. I like it because you know what? These guys they're sharp. They're Bob Doyle Show fans, right? But seriously, the demographics are clearly women, which that works for me. I grew up with women, right? My mom, my sister. Then I got married and had daughters. Just women everywhere. I'm living with one right now. So I'm comfortable with the broadcasting to women thing. And then that, of course, comes in handy when you're talking to advertisers and saying, well, because these women who make, apparently all of you ladies, you make all the buying decisions. You're clearly in charge of all. So kudos to you. Kudos. But so I got to figure out, well, how do I share things ladies want, right? If I'm going to bring in sponsors and my audience is women, well, what am I going to hold up underwear? No, I'm not going to do that. Why do you even say that? No, if I've got a sponsor, it's still got to be stuff that I'm super, super excited about. So the question is, are the ladies going to be super, super excited about my 360-degree, camera? Well, that was my question. And then my good friend Robert Hicks said, it's the perfect gift for the man in your life. See what I'm saying? All I'm saying, ladies, is I want you to continue to listen to the show. And gentlemen, I want you to continue to the show. And you dogs, and you cats, and you children, I want everyone to listen. I don't care. Because you know what? I'm going to do the same show anyway. I would never, all that stuff I said about whatever, skewing to the women, that's a joke because, as you know, I can only do me. So the Bob Doyle Show is the Bob Doyle Show, regardless of the gender of the audience. But it is interesting to note. But I guess not surprising. Alrighty. What else was I saying? So let's see. I talked about most of the bulk of the day. I'll tell you one thing I did. This is the geeky thing I did. This will tell you a lot about who I am. As some of you may or may not know, I have more than a passing interest in virtual reality technology and more than a passing bunch of theories about it, of where we're going and all sorts of strange things that would make you go, oh, seriously? But yesterday when I was at jury duty waiting to be even questioned, there's a lot of waiting. So I was just waiting to be interviewed at all about being on the juror, which happened at the very last. I thought I was out for the day, and 5 minutes before the end, then they called me in. Anyway, it all worked out just fine. But it's at the lunch break, I went to the roof of the, well, it didn't go to the, because I just had it. That's it. All right, no, I did go to the roof. Hold on, I just found my jug of water, and I'm realizing I'm behind. So you're going to have to listen to me gulp some for a second. Just to be clear, those were sea lions that you probably heard, and not me gulping. But for those of you who did hear the sea lions, if in fact you heard them, that was perfect timing. Go sea lions. And I felt like I was in the middle of a sentence. Oh yes, of course I was. So I'm at lunchtime. You walk out on this little balcony if you want to eat outside on tables, and you're on a terrace, and you're, I don't know. Well, I do know. I was 9 stories up. And this is in downtown Los Angeles. And the Disney Center's over here. And there's all these buildings and bank buildings and stuff. I'm just looking at the landscape of the city as I sit there. And as you may also know, I have become obsessed with the virtual reality application Google Earth. Which, if you don't know, they've got the entire... If you know what the Google Earth app is, they've got basically they've mapped the entire planet, and many of the big cities they even have 3D extrusions of the buildings, and so on your phone you can see things in 3D and zoom in on buildings and that kind of cool stuff. Well, now it's in virtual reality, so not only can you just zoom on them on your iPad or whatever, now you can fly among them, land on the buildings, go anywhere in the world. So as I was sitting out there looking at the landscape, I thought, well, when I get out of jury duty here in the next little bit, that's what my belief was yesterday, because I thought as soon as I tell them how much disdain I have for the system right now, they'll let me go. So I was thinking, well, as soon as I get home, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go home. I'm going to get into Google Earth. I'm going to land on this building. I'm going to stand exactly where I'm standing to see the exact view I'm seeing, but in virtual reality. See, that's the kind of geek I am. But then when I thought I got picked, I was so bummed. I pretty much just pouted all night last night. And then I think I went to sleep at like 9 and woke up at 1 and couldn't go back to sleep. So I've been up since 1 o'clock this morning. For those of you keeping score, which should be at least none of you, because that would be like beyond weird, a little disturbing. But if you are doing that, I'd be interested to see the records, just for my own, my own whatever. I just realized I can leave a message for myself. I'm going to do this. I am leaving a comment to myself during the show. Now, the only time you would ever see this is if you're watching the show on Spreaker, which only one person does who listens to this show, which is also the only person who listens to the show. But I'm telling you, Dawn, you won't be alone forever. It won't be long before, people start downloading the app, then they start listening to the podcast, and they start discovering all this. That's when I'm telling you, all of you, when they've got all the shows in their pocket, and they start catching up on episodes, because of course they'll binge on the Bob Doyle Show. Who wouldn't? That's when all of you early adopters who've been commenting and doing all that stuff on the show, that's when you start to become famous. They're going to know you. They're going to know you. They're going to get to know you through the comments and how I read them and so on and so forth. You're going to be like celebrities. So, my advice to you is to keep watching. Keep listening. Subscribe on YouTube. YouTunes. And then subscribe on iTunes. It was very considerate of you to subscribe on YouTube because that is basically implying that you're subscribing on my behalf. But you know what? I got this. I figured out a long time ago how to hit the subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm reaching behind me for a ukulele, not because I have any performance plan. I just wanted some background music as we take it out of here before the jazz theme. I'm not talking about that one, though. I'm talking about the one that I opened up with. The energy of this should tell you how fatigued I am. Yep, that's how I finish a podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I sleepily pick up a ukulele. I play some vague chord progressions. Make a decision halfway through that it was a terrible idea, that I'm way too tired to focus on being musical and talking at the same time. And then I just put it aside. That's how we do it here. So if you were not clear on the procedure, I hope that we have straightened that out for you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here like Guinevere, which is an expression I did make up, I think. I mean, I've never heard anyone say it, but it makes sense. It rhymes anyway. It doesn't really make sense, because was Guinevere ever known for being, out of here? I mean, maybe. Folks, you can catch the Bob Doyle Show on Facebook from time to time. Normally Fridays. Definitely Wednesdays. Wednesdays and Fridays are a good place to look. But you can just go to facebook.com/Bob Doyle Show, and I've always got an updated schedule, so. And you should watch it and listen. All right, everyone. Have the night of your lives.